Welcome back. Israel has launched a wide-scale military operation in the Jenin refugee camp in the northern West Bank. At least 7 Palestinians have been killed so far. Well, joining me now is Palestinian writer Jalal Abu Khater, who's in Jerusalem. Good afternoon to you. Let's get an idea of the context for all of this, if you will, Jalal, because obviously we've seen pockets of violence over the last few months. Was this entirely unexpected or something that's been building up?
This has been building on among Israeli society, in my opinion. First of all, thanks for having me on. I think 18 months ago, the Israeli operation started, and there was a lot of talk about Jenin being a hub for, Palestinian resistance was being inspired by the situation in Jenin. They failed, obviously, to crush this resistance. And for the past year and a half, there's been constant raids. There's been, it's a prolonged massacre of Palestinians. The killings haven't stopped. And today, again, we're witnessing the same thing happening. And in our view, it is to satisfy the settler population in the occupied West Bank, to satisfy the settlers who are calling for revenge. If you drive across the West Bank today, you will see posters plastered everywhere by settlers calling for revenge against Palestinians. You will witness directly settlers building illegal outposts on Palestinian privately owned land. This has been increasing a lot in the last few weeks. And the Israeli government is not applying its own law in the West Bank to prevent those settlers from setting up outposts, from taking over land. And the military operations continue, targeting Palestinians within their cities. So those are not people who are going out to commit attacks against Israel or going out to, attack Israeli targets, but they are within Jenin. It's just the idea that resistance exists in the city of Jenin in the West Bank is so disturbing to Israeli society, to its media, and to its settler population, which is leading us to this escalation today, where Israel is actually conducting an operation to satisfy its election.
But they're calling for revenge, aren't they? Because, last week 4 people were killed in a shooting, and the IDF and the Israeli government says that they're targeting the Jenin refugee camp to get to a local militant group.
In the West Bank, over just this year, over 150 Palestinians were already killed. The settlement increase has been unprecedented. There has been government support for new settlements, and there are a lot of illegal outposts sprouting up with government backing and support. The settler pogroms have increased. The violence against Palestinian civilians in the villages across the West Bank have increased. It's been an escalating violent reality that Palestinians have been enduring. It is bound to result in, more violence that is harming Israeli settlers and Israeli military targets in the West Bank. So the calls for revenge are not a reason for Israel to conduct such raid, which is leading to more massacres and more slaughter and more violence. And it's not really leading us anywhere to a solution where people believe that there's a better future or there's hope for a settlement, for peace.
As a journalist who's covered the area, do you get a sense that they want peace or they want a solution?
Certainly not. If you witness the West Bank over the last 20 years, and especially over the last 2 years, you will see that there is insistence by every single Israeli government to support the de facto and de jure annexation of the West Bank to prevent any kind of settlement for Palestinians having a sovereign state in the West Bank. Palestinians are confined in what's called Area A of the West Bank, which is less than 20% of the entirety of the West Bank. There is literally no hope for any Palestinian future in establishing a sovereign entity, according to the Oslo Accords or previous agreements. And really, the lack of hope and the frustration that is leading us to this moment when we witness that rising phenomena of resistance, armed resistance against the occupation, is only met with lethal violence, like we see in Nablus and Jenin and elsewhere across the West Bank.
And Jalal, look, we're seeing pictures on our screens of a result of these incursions into Jenin at the moment. The Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has called the operation a new war crime against our defenceless people. Talk to us about the perceived imbalance of power, the Israeli might versus the militant groups and sporadic revenge attacks by Palestinians.
Certainly, there is not even a shred of balance between the power that is there's no proportionality with what Israel uses to conduct its occupation, to maintain its apartheid, and to expand the settlement projects in occupied territory. On the other hand, there is Palestinians who are using the most basic means to resist an ongoing occupation. It is within their legal right, internationally agreed, that Palestinians are able to resist and are encouraged to resist this occupation. This is not temporary occupation anymore. This is a very clear situation of a permanent occupation, of annexation. And the fact of the lack of balance it's what's showing is there is no one to defend the Palestinians who are getting attacked by settlers across the West Bank. The Israeli military takes part with the settlers in those pogroms, in those attacks against Palestinians. The Palestinians on their own are facing the mightiest military in this region, are facing the technology and the air force and the armed weaponry. And there is literally no balance. There is a fight for justice against apartheid, against occupation, against settler colonialism. On the other hand, Israel only wishes to maintain and entrench the system of oppression and apartheid against the Palestinians.
Jalal Abu Khater, live for us from Jerusalem. Thanks very much indeed for your analysis.
Thank you.